He drives the 19. Connor Pritiko is with us. What's going on there, winner? How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on tonight, Joe.
Second big win, buddy, and they won't get any bigger than that. That was full of drama. That was full of passion. That was just a dynamite race for you last night, man. It was a good show.
Absolutely. It was a bar burner. Kyle and I had the two fastest cars by far. I just kind of paced myself behind him, followed him. Could see he was pushing a little bit harder than me, and I knew I could manage the gap to him, save my tires there for the late race cautions at the end, and we got it done.
That's experience at Delaware Speedway, isn't it, Connor? That's experience 101 right there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching races there since I was 5, 6 years old, watching my cousin run around that place, and I learned a lot from him, learned a lot from drivers he's raced against, like, Jesse Kennedy, Jake Sheridan, all those guys. So, I just learned to kind of pace myself, relax. My spotter Hayden did a great job just, keeping me calm behind the wheel and just, managing the gap ahead, and, we got it done.
Connor, you could hear the passion in your voice in Victory Lane last night. You could hear how much that one meant to you, and it was a full team participation that got you to Victory Lane, and you definitely made sure all of us knew that it was the whole team coming together. That's so cool when you do that, and you did it. That was just amazing.
Yeah, the team I got this year is the same team we won the Great Canadian with last year, so it's a great group of guys. A lot of them I've worked with my cousin before, with Matt, and having Danny Benedict as our crew chief this year. Great guy, knows how to work on a race car, smart with the changes he makes. And we started off not the best there in practice, and we threw the kitchen sink at it for qualifying, and it turned around. And then I knew we'd have a good long run car at Delaware Speedway there, and went out, fell back to third, made a move for second with about 80 to go, and I could see we were starting to catch lap cars, and Kyle was struggling to get through them, and I knew, okay, we're probably going to get a yellow, with 20 or 30 to go, which we did, and I was just pacing myself, waiting for it, and then we finally got, and from then on, I knew I had a chance to win it.
Second to last restart. I want to say there was like 4 restarts near the end of the race, but second to last, you did get the jump on the 22. He decided that, we're going to play a game here and let him go. Sure enough, you went, and you had to give it back. What's that like as a driver when you know, okay, he played me, and it worked because I did jump. Now I got to give it back to him. What's that like as a driver?
It's frustrating because, you work really hard in trying to time those restarts of perfection when, you have a guy like Kyle Seckley who's one of the best restarters around, and he's starting on the outside of you, and you're just, trying to keep your front nose aligned with him, and you time the restart perfectly, you fire with him, you're dead even, and then he kind of blips the throttle to make it look like I jumped. But, that's part of the game, and when he started doing that, it kind of just lit a fire under me, and I was just determined to make sure I got the win, and, it didn't wreck him or anything, just got in there, got him a little loose off too, and we went down to 3, and he was tight on my door, and I got a little bit loose in, and anyone that's driven Delaware Speedway knows that if you enter on the very bottom like that, it's a lot more offset than what the second lane is there, and we just kind of touched in a funny way, and it washed him up the track, and we were able to come through with the win.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch. You wouldn't know it, but as you were finishing things off, the 52 car of Jake Sheridan that has really been on fire this year, he struggled yesterday, had a broken hub, and he's never had a broken hub before like that, where the hub actually stayed together and he kept going, but it was done. He did come in. He retired the car with like 7 or 8 to go. Clinton Jeffrey got a quick word with him on G-Force, and he said at the end of the interview, like he was beside himself that broke. But he had to put that aside. What else are you going to do? His final statement, though, of the interview was go 19. So you did have a cheerleader in Jake Sheridan.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. My spotter came on the radio and told me that, said Jake's cheering for me, and I thought Jake's spotter went down there and just told my spotter good luck. But, I later found out it was in the interview, and I made sure I brought him a cold one to his campsite, and we were there partying pretty late together. And Jake's a great guy. I raced against him for a lot of years, watched him come up through the super stocks and win a championship at Delaware, and now he's running a pro late model, winning everything everywhere right now in that McCall Racing chassis. And he's a great driver, respects everyone out there, and he's one hell of a driver to watch.
Yeah, he sure is. He's been a regular here on Racetime Radio for about the last month and a half. Every show we had him on. And if luck would have had it, he would have been battling right up there with the 19 car yesterday. And good on, I got to put this out too to Kyle Steckley. Finishes the race up in second. He gave you good props, from the podium. Good on Kyle Steckley. He took it like a man, and he did have some good things to say. And that Port City 22, that thing's been running. Like, he's got a good car there, and I can only imagine what we're going to see the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, Kyle, they got that Port City race car working really well right now, and all the experience he has running down south to come up here and run it. Our tracks up here are a lot different than what they are down there, and to get the car hooked up pretty well around any racetrack he goes to is a accomplishment in its own. And me and Kyle we're pretty good buddies, and that's kind of the last guy I want to just sail it in there like that on and get into him. But I was just annoyed with how the restarts were going and some of the calls and getting warned constantly about everything that I just was going for it and didn't spin him out, didn't wreck him, got into him a little bit, but he said he owes me one jokingly and dumped water on me. So if he wants to give it back, that's no problem. It's racing, it's part of it, right? The score counts 1-0 me right now, so I got no problem with him wanting to even it up.
It wasn't too long ago, Connor, that speaking with Kyle, he'd always have a good car. He'd always be up there. And guys would, get into him and rattle him and push him and stuff. And Kyle was taking a lot from a lot of different guys. And I even noticed it down south in the ASA Stars. And a couple times I just said to Kyle when he and I were chatting, "Bud, you're going to have to turn around and start giving some of that back. Or you're not going to, you're losing too many shows for no reason. Don't take it. Get out there, and you don't need to wreck a guy. But definitely, when it's time to go, it's time to go. And no friends at that particular point. You want to talk to everybody after. And I got to say, at the end of that race, there's absolutely no reason you guys can't talk and put on some dynamite races. That's what it's all about. What we seen last night, to the nines. That was perfect.
Yeah, it was. The crowd went crazy with that finish there. They loved it, and that's what we want for the fans to put on races like that, and brings more people to the racetrack. Puts seats in chair, or puts butts in seats, and it helps the track. It's just one of those races that I knew what I had, and I knew what he had, and he was going pretty hard, and I was pacing. We talked about it after. He said he was going 110% the whole time, and I was kind of cruising about 75, 80. But no, I get exactly what you were saying about him getting pushed around, because I've been in the same boat, getting pushed around my first few years in a pro late, and kind of realizing I got to put my foot down and not be taking it like that anymore. So my dad told me if I didn't grow a set of balls, he was going to put me in some ballet classes. So I had to make sure I proved my point, and just had to get the elbows out. I normally don't really push guys around. I'm normally getting pushed around, but I was kind of fed up with it, and I was just sick and tired of being pushed around. So I just made sure I proved my point that I don't want to be pushed around anymore out there.
That's good. That's the way to have it. And there's no reason to get shoved around, right? Accidents happen all on their own. There's no need in intentionally causing one. And man, oh man, just a dynamite run. Let's talk about the series a bit here, because you've had a decent start to this year.
The start's been okay. Sunset, I think we had a 4th to 7th place car at Sunset. We just got stuck in that double wide battle for 4 rows deep there with a bunch of guys, and you can't go 3 wide around Sunset. It's too tight, and we came home 9th there, went to Flamborough. We were okay in practice, and I sucked in qualifying. I didn't qualify great, and we were marching our way through the field, and then I don't know, about 50 laps in, the left front bearing broke on us and melted the hub and everything inside of it, and so had a DNF for that one, and then went to Peterborough, led about 40 laps there, and had a caution, got a restart. Jake got under us and around us, and I just started to fade a little bit, and then came back to finish sixth. So I've only been to Peterborough twice in my whole lifetime, seeing the place. So, it's cool to run there with the little notebook we got, and it's been a good start. And we got the monkey off our back now, so hopefully it starts to get better.
Yeah, and you've got two coming up at the beach. They're back to back, and then you got Flamborough, another one at Sunset, and another one at Delaware, and presto, season over.
Yeah, so Flamborough is in 2 weeks from now on the July 12th, and then Sauvel's on the August 4th. And, Flamborough has been too kind to me, just mechanical failures and parts breaking and just not the best finishes. But we always practice well. We qualify okay there, and then race time we're usually really good and just, kind of come out on the short end of the stick with some things. But Sauvel being the first time I raced there last year, and we were able to finish third. I think we got a good notebook for there, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable about that. I just got to figure out Sunset and just, figure out how to drive that place, because there's nothing else like that place in Ontario.
Yeah, there isn't really. And when you exit turn 2 and you see all that racetrack in front of you, you think, oh, wow, look at that. But if you're not right up at the top, you're sunk.
Yeah, exactly. And, I got one of the better guys to be helping me get around Sunset with Danny Benedict, who's won an APC race there before. He's won a bunch of races at Sunset, track champion, and, he knows how to get around there pretty well. He's gave me some pointers and stuff and what to work on and some tips and tricks. So, we've been trying that, and we've been steadily improving there, which is great.
It's all about people, isn't it, Connor? It's really that life is all about people. And you're definitely surrounded by the right people on that 19 APC car. Who have you got for sponsors on that machine? It looks beautiful.
We got Domus Developments returning again as our primary sponsor, along with H&N Roofing and Sheet Metal. Glencoe Auto Recyclers, who we've known them for 20 years. They sponsored my cousin, and then as soon as he retired, they jumped on board with me. Southwest Property Care, another great company that jumped on board. We got London Mechanical, Claire's Wheels and Deals, Vienna Dental, who's, they've been sponsoring since day one and stuff like that. And, just all these companies come together to make this happen and, allow me to do what I love to do.
Well, and you're doing a dynamite job for them, for yourself, for your team. Just kind of cool for us to see, Connor Pritiko. Congratulations on the big win at Delaware Speedway just last night. Can't wait to see what happens from here on in. Are you points watching at all? Whereabouts are you in the points, or are you even looking?
Well, we went to Delaware, and I think we were 25 back, running 10th place in points, and I think we're only 19 or 18 back after last night and jumped up to 6th in points. So got a little ways ahead, but as long as I just go out there and finish in the top 5 every race from here on out, I say we got a good shot at it. But there's some tracks that I'm not the best at, that I need to improve at, which, might cost me some points here and there, where there's some guys like Josh Satuday who's crazy good around Sunset Speedway and Sauvel Speedway. And, you got a guy like Jake Sheridan who goes to Sauvel, and he can step up on the outside and run around you like you're standing still. So, we just got some stuff to learn about there, and I think we'll be all right for the remainder of the season. Well,
you're coming along, I can guarantee you that. Dynamite to see. Connor, thanks so much for the time tonight on Race Time, and look forward to catching you. Probably see you at Flamborough Speedway. I got to make it to some more of these races. I'm getting the itch.
Yeah, Delaware was probably the best one you should have been to, just because it's the great facility and all. It just feels like a racetrack. You're on pit road. You got the fans able to see the cars, everyone working on them. But Flamborough Speedway is also another great facility. They've started to get a little bit of a bigger crowd compared to what previous years has been. But that facility's awesome. Great racing, fun to watch. A lot of great race drivers have started off at Flamborough and went to race in the Pinty Series and been a local legend around Ontario.
Yeah, and watch, like Shea Gimmel, the 3-car. He went to the back near the end of that one yesterday. He was up to third, heading to Flamborough. He loves that place. Man, we got so much to look forward to in APC. Good job, buddy. Thanks so much for the time.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on tonight, Joe. Appreciate it.
That is Connor Pritiko right there. Don't make him much better than that guy. Watch out. Lots more to come with him. I can guarantee it.